10 celebrities who went from millions to bankruptcy. For regular people, the life of a celeb is nothing less than a dream come true. The amount of money they have rolling around is the most desired part. No matter how amazing it all looks, it is difficult to fathom how a celebrity can go from millions to getting bankrupt. However, many went through this. Here's a list of the most notable celebs who blew it all. Number 10. Nicolas Cage. This famous actor of the 90s had it all going for him. He starred in major box office attractions such as Con Air and The Rock, and he was commanding a whopping $20 million per movie. His estimated worth at the peak of his career was $150 million, but by 2009 he had somehow managed to blow it all away. He spent his wealth on a lavish spending spree that involved historic treasures and real estate. He spent big bucks on a collection of shrunken pygmy heads and a dinosaur skull, a castle in the UK, and another in Germany. He also had the expected items like jewelry, expensive cars, and a private jet. Cage's collection also included a pyramid tombstone in a cemetery in New Orleans once. He had a number of pets, which included a cobra, a crocodile, and a shark. Number 9. Brendan Fraser. Once a big name in Hollywood, Brendan Fraser is not seen around much these days, unless you happen to see him in guest spots or supporting roles. At the height of his career, he was making $12 million per movie. Unfortunately, this did not last. His career took a nosedive after the one too many action roles left his once muscular body damaged, and a Me Too movement that involved Hollywood's power player Philip Burke left him ostracized and depressed. After his divorce in 2007 from Afton Smith, the majority of his income goes into paying child support. Number 8. Pamela Anderson. Despite having a lifestyle that included lavish houses, multiple plastic surgeries, and pretty expensive parties, Pamela Anderson had managed to keep her finances well on track, at least until the tax man came along. After the Internal Revenue Service found out that Pamela was failing to pay her taxes, things started falling apart for her. But we have to give her credit that she climbed out of her debt and settled things. Back in her heydays, she was worth an impressive $35 million and was one of Hollywood's most famous actresses. However, after losing everything she had, she ended up living in a trailer park. She was left with 2 kids to look after in the confines of a trailer, but she was still optimistic about her situation. She said, "It's a special community." Number 7. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood in the early 90s. His characters in movies like Passenger 57, New Jack City, Demolition Man, Men Can't Jump, and Blade made him one of the most popular and best-paid actors of Hollywood. However, it turned out that he was also one of those celebrities who forgot to pay taxes. He was actually sent to prison for 3 years for failing to file his tax returns. His sentence began in 2010 in McKean County, Pennsylvania, and was released in 2013. Surprisingly, this wasn't the first time that he was involved in tax evasion. In 2006, he was involved in a similar scandal. Number 6. Lindsay Lohan. After starring in Mean Girls, predictions were that she would go on to bigger things, but her life of addiction and partying made her quickly fall from grace. In 2012, she was forced to file for bankruptcy. In 2018, her net worth was just $800,000, a far cry from the millions she had earlier. Lindsay resorted to finding another source of income and released an album. Unfortunately, it was a flop due to its outdated pop tunes. Number 5. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is one of the greatest boxers of all time. Just 4 months after his 20th birthday, he earned the WBC heavyweight champion title. During his boxing career, it is estimated that he earned around $400 million, but his lavish spending on cars, limos, bikes, clothes, jewelry, mansions, and even Siberian tigers left him $27 million in debt when in 2003 he filed for bankruptcy. His struggles were made worse by his substance abuse, and this made quite a dent in his finances. Luckily, with the support of his family and a few times in the rehab, he was able to turn his life around. Number 4. Lisa Marie Presley. Being an only daughter of a rock and roll icon, Presley was never short on cash. She had a luxurious childhood with private jets and personal themed parks. Elvis flew his daughter to Idaho in a private jet once, after she asked to play in the snow. She soon spent her father's $100 million fortune, blaming it on the management company. After her divorce from ex-husband Michael Lockwood, she was left with $16 million in debt. Presley was back in the spotlight when her mother sold her mansion to support her daughter. Number 3. Kim Basinger. Basinger was a successful model and actor back in the day. She starred in Batman and recently in 50 Shades Darker. In 1989, she decided to buy a town and turn it into a tourist attraction. But things didn't turn out the way she wanted. Instead, only 4 years later, she declared bankruptcy and was forced to sell the property. Her financial difficulties increased when she got sued by producers after pulling out of a verbal agreement from starring in the controversial movie Boxing Helena. She was initially forced to pay $8.1 million, but after a successful appeal against the decision, it was reduced to $3.8 million. Number 2. Dennis Rodman. Rodman had a highly successful basketball career and made a fortune of $29 million with just contract earnings. He became a high-profile celebrity as well, earning millions from talk shows and TV appearances. After spending lavishly on a relaxing retirement, which included private helicopters, a 74-foot speedboat, and hosting lavish parties at his Newport Beach home, came his downfall. He owed $285,000 in taxes and $219,000 in child support, which left him completely broke and in debt. This took a toll on him, and he ended up with a serious drinking problem. Number 1. Michael Jackson. Despite being the king of pop, Jackson died in debt. His debt was allegedly between $400 to $500 million. He spent his money on a notorious estate, which included his own private theme park and jewelry. Although he had a regular income coming from royalties, his estate required more funds to maintain, which led his debts to spiral out of control. He also owned a zoo, which included exotic animals like elephants and tigers. And how can we forget Bubbles the monkey? However, since the death of the King of Pop, a $200 million record deal with Sony has secured the finances of his family. Being a celebrity does not mean that your fortune is secure. If you're reckless with your huge fortunes, you might end up losing it all. Many celebrities have learned this the hard way.